Just wanted to do a review for my sleeping pads. I actually recently just changed what I'm doing, and I wanted to share with you the pros and cons that I found so far to both my old sleeping pad and my new one. So we'll start with the old one. This is my Lence mattress. Lence, you can see the brand right there. I bought this off Amazon for like $40 at the beginning of last season. It did me good. Pretty easy to inflate. It's got a one-way little check valve, easy to deflate. You pop it, and it deflates all the air out. It packs down to a bit bigger than a pop can when it rolls up, which is one of the things I really liked about it. It didn't take up much space, and it was quite lightweight. It did, when fully inflated, it did support my weight, so I did have 400 pounds sleeping on this, and it never went flat on me during the night. I never popped the little plug out, which was one of my first concerns, and I never had any issues with it tearing or anything. The biggest thing I didn't like about it was if I slept on my side, which I typically do, I found that my hip would end up pressing into the ground. So I was actually carrying a foam mat to put underneath this to try making it a little bit more comfortable, but it didn't help that much. So I had to make sure I slept on my stomach or on my back, because if I slept on my side for too long, my hips would be killing me the next day, which made my second day of hiking usually pretty miserable. I couldn't figure out a way to sleep on this thing where it wasn't causing me too much issues when I was sleeping on my side. Sorry, it's still really hot in this room. But in all, for a $40 pad that I got, I think it was 20, maybe it was 25. I'll put a link in the description so you can find it for yourself and see how much it's worth. It did pretty good. Like I said, it stood up to my weight. I didn't have any issues with it deflating or popping in the night, which is a huge concern when I started researching sleeping pads, because I didn't want to buy something and find out I was just too heavy. The biggest con I had with this, other than the sleeping on my side and hurting my hip, was I roll a lot in my sleep. So if I wake up, I generally roll and change position. And this would just out from under me, no problem. So I found it was a real pain once I got the my mummy bag here, because I would have to like unzip or like try to like do the worm back on top of this thing, and I found myself just chasing it all over the tent, which was really more of a pain than it was worth. So that brings me to my next sleeping pad, which is my MEC Reactor 3.8. It is a foam pad that inflates. It has a little inflator here. You just pull it up, a quarter turn, pop it up. You can push, breathe into it, inflate it, to make it go faster. On this, I can sleep on my side, which is amazing without my hip hurting. Same with on my back and on my front. It's so much more comfortable than my old one. This ran me $90 at MEC. Obviously, it's their brand, so it's probably the only place to get it. It doesn't pack up very big, so it packs up about the same size as like a Folgers tin. It is fairly large. It's about that big around, about that long, and it is considerably heavier than my Lence one. But one of the features, other than it being so much more comfortable than my old one, is I was able to get rid of that foam mat that I was carrying, because I didn't need that little bit of extra support sleeping on my side. And it has this coating on the bottom that's like rubber. So when you put this on the floor of a tent, it does not move. I was tossing and turning and rolling all night, because the other night when I was in it, like on it in my tent was leaking. I actually have to start looking at a new tent. My tent is just a really, really inexpensive tent from Canadian Tire. I got like a season and a half out of it. It did its purpose, but now I'm looking at maybe going something a bit lighter to bring my base weight down a bit. Fortunately, between this and this, when I have my sleeping bag in its compression sack, I can actually put them side by side and occupy the same amount of space that my old sleeping bag used to occupy just in its regular sleeping bag. So I haven't lost any room in my bag per se with the upgrade of both. But I will make sure I put a link in the description for this sleeping pad as well, because I absolutely love this thing. It was amazing to be able to start sleeping on my side and not have to worry about my hip hurting. I look forward to taking this out again and giving it some more testing. And the best thing in the world is, again, 400 pounds laying on this thing, kneeling on it to get into bed. No issues with it leaking, no issues of like potentially like popping this open, no tears, no nothing. It is always a huge relief for me getting on an air mattress and not just immediately going onto the ground. It is always a fear I have. Let me know in the comments if other big people, you have that fear too, getting on air mattresses, that you're worried once you get on them that you're just going to pop them and hit the ground. But I can tell you that these two for sure, I was on them. I've spent 2 nights on this one. I spent about a dozen nights on the other one. Never ran into any issues. I didn't try cowboy camping with them at all. I don't want to push my luck putting me plus this on like rocks, because I don't like to have to buy things twice. I really don't trust that my weight on something sharp isn't going to pop it. If you like this content, you want to see more kind of plus size gear videos, let me know in the comment down below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get the notifications anytime I upload a video. And thank you all so much for watching.